I can leap across the sea a distance of 800 miles. I will bound up Mount Meru and enter the bowels of the earth until Sita is found. While boasting of their power in this and other ways, the monkeys gradually disappeared. After the monkeys had left, Rama spoke to Sugriva. I was surprised to hear your extensive descriptions of this earth. How do you know it so well? Sugriva replied that he had seen every part of the world while running away from Bali. My angry brother chased me in all directions, he said. As I dashed away in fear, I saw every part of the wide earth as if it were the impression of a calf's hoof. With Bali always behind me, I ran with tremendous speed. Finally, I remembered Matunga's curse and came to the Rishimuka, whereupon Bali left me alone. Rama laughed to hear Sugriva. The two friends sat speaking together for some time. Then Sugriva left for Kishkinda to await the return of the search parties. The monkeys dispatched by Sugriva began their search. They scanned cities, towns, and villages, scouring woods and forests. They climbed mountains and dived into lakes and rivers. They explored deep caverns and entered holes in the earth, going as far as possible in the directions they were assigned. They scrupulously searched everywhere for Ravana and Sita. Even after searching for a month, however, they were not successful. One by one, the parties returned, fearful, to Sugriva. From the north came Satabali, disappointedly reporting his failure. Vinata returned from the east, also without success. From the west came Shushena, again without having discovered Sita's whereabouts. In the south, Hanuman and Angada and their party had traveled a great distance. The month had almost passed, and still there were no signs of Sita. They reached the plains surrounding the Vindhya mountains. It was a desolate region, full of caves and thick forests, waterless and uninhabited. The whole area had been rendered a wilderness by the curse of a sage many years previous, who had been angered by his young son's death. Thousands of monkeys combed the entire terrain, penetrating more and more into the frightful area. They suddenly came upon a huge Rakshasa. Seeing the demon, who looked like a hill, the monkeys stood with their loins tightly girded, ready to fight. The demon saw the monkeys and bellowed out, You are gone." Angada thought the demon to be Ravana. He became enraged and rushed straight toward the roaring Rakshasa, who raised his massive hand to strike the monkey. Angada leapt high and dodged the blow. Swinging his powerful arm as he flew, the Vanara hit the Rakshasa on the head with his outstretched palm. The blow was tremendous, and the demon vomited blood and fell to the ground. After examining the dead Rakshasa and realizing that he was not Ravana, the monkeys continued their search. The vast Vindhyan range was filled with innumerable caves. The monkeys systematically entered each and every one. They climbed every mountain and scoured all woods and groves. Finally, they moved further and further south. Not finding Ravana or Sita anywhere, they became more and more fatigued and disappointed. The month allotted by Sugriva passed, and still they had no clear clue as to where Sita had been taken. One day, when they were exhausted and racked by thirst, they came upon the entrance to a huge cavern. They saw birds emerging from it, with their wings dripping with water. The monkeys decided to enter the dark cave. They formed a long 8-mile chain to avoid getting lost. Bats shrieked and birds flew past them. Occasionally, the growl of a lion or tiger was heard. As they went deeper into the cave, they saw ahead of them a bright light. They moved quickly toward the light and came upon a huge open area, brilliantly lit by thousands of shining golden trees. The trees were adorned with brightly colored flowers and leaves, and they bore fruits which shone like rubies and emeralds. The trees hemmed in large lotus ponds of clear water, filled with golden fish. The monkeys saw palaces of gold and silver, set with cat's eye, gems, and covered with lattices of pearls. On all sides were spacious couches and seats studded with various kinds of gems. Mounds of gold and silver vessels lay here and there, as well as piles of colored jewels. There were collections of sandalwood and aloe wood carvings, as well as many first-class palanquins lying about. Piles of costly, ethereal textiles of indescribable beauty lay on the floor. Celestial food and drink of every kind was spread on gold tables, and there were dazzling heaps of gold everywhere. The monkeys were stunned by the sight, and they stood looking all around, their mouths hanging open. Then they saw an ascetic lady, clad in black deerskins, sitting some distance from them. She shone with yogic power as she sat in meditation. Hanuman approached her and respectfully inquired who she was and in whose cave they now found themselves. The woman's name was Swayamprabha, and she explained that the cave and all its wonders had been created by Maya, the architect of the celestial demons. He had dwelt here for some time, being finally slain by Indra for the sake of an Apsara, whom Indra himself had coveted. The Apsara had lived in the cave with Swayamprabha as her servant. She had now returned to heaven, leaving Swayamprabha to her meditations. The ascetic lady gazed at the monkeys. She could understand that they were Rama's servants. She had seen Rama in her meditations and understood his divine identity. She was pleased to have the opportunity to serve Rama by entertaining his servants. The yogini gave the monkeys delicious food and drinks, which invigorated them. As they ate, they told her of their mission. When they had finished eating, the hermitess asked them to close their eyes, and she would take them out of the cave. The monkeys complied, and in a moment they mysteriously found themselves again standing at the entrance to the cavern. Swayamprabha told them to continue their search, and then took her leave, disappearing back inside. The monkeys stood outside the cave, amazed but refreshed from their celestial repast. They carried on vigorously searching, and soon reached the southern ocean. Realizing that they had looked everywhere in the whole southern region without success, they fell prey to anxiety. It was now more than 6 weeks since they had left. The monkeys were fearful of Sugriva's anger when they returned, and they sat together, discussing what to do. Angada spoke. "The king will certainly have us all put to death upon our late return, unsuccessful in our mission. Therefore I suggest that rather than return in shame, we sit here and fast until life leaves our bodies. How can we go back and face execution in front of our near and dear ones?" Some of the monkeys agreed, and others recommended they continue searching for some time before giving up. One of them suggested they re-enter Swayamprabha's cave and live out the rest of their days happily. This met with approval from other monkeys, but Hanuman disagreed. "I don't approve of this course of action." "O Vanaras," he chided, forgetting our master's cause and actually forming an enmity by abandoning him is not at all a wise move, nor will Rama and Lakshman tolerate it. Those princes will tear Maya's cave asunder in no time. Their arrows fall with their arrows fall with the force of Indra's thunderbolt. All of us will be annihilated. Hanuman continued to speak, praising Sugriva's qualities. We need not fear the monkey king. He regards all his subjects with love and would certainly not kill Angada, the son of his dear wife Tara. Nor will Sugriva be harsh toward you others. We have all tried our best to find Sita, and should now return to Kishkinda, reporting to the king for further orders. Angada did not appreciate Hanuman's speech. He especially disliked hearing Sugriva praised. The monkey prince became angry. No good qualities are to be found in Sugriva. Indeed, that worthless monkey has taken to wife his mother in the shape of Tara. He locked up my father in a cave and usurped his kingdom. Although Rama rendered him a great favor, that ungrateful wretch soon forgot his debt to the prince of Ayodhya. What piety does he possess? He only instigated this search for Sita out of fear of Lakshman. Angada still burned within from the killing of his father brought about by Sugriva. How could Sugriva ever be kind toward the son of his mortal enemy? Now there would be more than sufficient excuse for him to punish Angada, who had failed in his mission and had committed treason by sowing dissension among other monkeys. He was sure that Sugriva would either kill him outright or cast him into chains for the rest of his life. Angada determined to sit there on the beach and fast until death. He sank to the ground, weeping, his mind confounded by grief and despair. With the exception of Hanuman, the other monkeys sat next to him, denouncing Sugriva and praising Bali. They all sat on kusha grass with their faces turned to the east. Thinking of Sugriva's fury and Rama's prowess, they prepared for death. As they sat there, roaring in dismay, they suddenly saw an enormous bird come out of a mountain cave. The bird looked upon the line of monkeys, appearing like a row of mountain peaks on the plateau beneath them. Realizing they were observing the prior vow of fasting until death, he said to himself, "Surely this food has been ordained for me by Providence. After a time, I shall eat sumptuously, feasting upon this line of monkeys, one by one, as they fall dead from starvation." The bird dropped down and perched near the monkeys. Seeing him there, Angada turned to Hanuman and said, "Surely this is Yamaraj come in person to punish us for failing to serve Rama's purpose. This bird reminds me of Jatayu, about whom we have heard from Sugriva. That glorious bird laid down his life for Rama in a fierce battle with Ravana. We shall also now give up our lives in Rama's service. Alas, like that heroic vulture, we too have failed to save Sita." The great bird heard him speak. He called out to Angada, "Who is this who mentions Jatayu? Where is that younger brother of mine? I have not seen him for so long. My heart trembles as I hear you speak of his death. How did he encounter the king of the Rakshasas? If it pleases you, O monkey, pray, tell me everything you know." The bird told them that his name was Sampati. He lived high in the mountains, unable to fly because his wings had been burnt by the sun. He had lost touch with his brother Jatayu for many years. Angada told the bird everything about himself and his companions. He narrated the story of how Jatayu had died protecting Sita. Now they were searching for the princess and had given up hope. Thus they sat there, fearful of Sugriva and Rama, and awaiting only death. Sampati cried out in anguish. His eyes filled with tears, and he said to Angada, "Jatayu was dearer to me than life. Now he is killed by the Rakshasa, and I can do nothing to avenge him. O monkeys, I am old and worn out. What then can I do upon hearing this terrible news?" Sampati explained how a long time ago he had flown with Jatayu to heaven. As we soared upwards, we perceived the earth with her numerous mountains as if she were covered with pebbles. Her rivers looked like so many threads, great cities seemed like chariot wheels, and forests like grassy plots. Tears fell from the bird's eyes as he recounted how he had lost his brother. We had wanted to follow the sun as it coursed through the heavens. When we reached the track of that fiery globe, however, we became overpowered by its rays. Jatayu had grown weak from heat and exhaustion. I therefore covered him with my wings to protect him. We then fell back to earth, where we became separated. I fell onto the Vindhya mountain, with my wings completely destroyed by the scorching rays of the sun. Angada looked at the wingless bird. He must know all the regions of the universe. Surely he knew where Ravana lived. Perhaps there was still hope. Devanara asked Sampati, "Can you tell us where lies the abode of the vilest of all beings, Ravana?" Sampati had slumped down in sorrow, but upon hearing Angada's question, he lifted his head and opened wide his eyes. Although I am old and although I am an old and useless bird, I can still render some service to Rama. I do indeed know where Ravana lives. In fact, as I lay upon this mountain some while back, I saw him flying by, holding Sita. The princess was constantly crying out, "O Rama, Rama, Lakshman, help!" The bird told Angada that Ravana dwelt in Lanka, which was situated in the midst of the southern ocean 800 miles away. The princess was being held captive in Ravana's garden, guarded by fierce Rakshasis. Sampati possessed the ability to see Lanka even as he spoke to the monkeys. He said, "Although my wings are broken, my vision is not impaired. We vultures are capable of sighting objects at a great distance. Furthermore, by my intuition, I can understand that one of you will soon see Sita, and then you will turn again to Rama's presence." Requested by Sampati, the monkeys took the bird to the seashore, where he offered water to the departed soul of his brother. He then told them more about himself. When he had first fallen to the Vindhya mountain, he had spoken with a rishi named Chandrama, who was living there. The bird had fallen at the sage's feet and related his sad tale. Weeping, Sampati had said that he had wished to throw himself from the mountain peak and end his life. The rishi restrained him, telling him that in the future some monkeys would arrive at that spot searching for Rama's divine consort. "Although I am able to give you your wings back, I will not do so, as you are destined to render a service to Rama through those monkeys. You must remain here and tell them where to find Sita. At that time, your wings will again be restored." Sampati said the rishi had then enlightened the bird with spiritual knowledge. He had told him that bodily sufferings must be borne by everyone as a reaction for their own past deeds. One should nevertheless realize that the real self is different than the body. Without being overly attached to the body, one should try to fix the mind on the Supreme Lord, with whom all beings have an eternal relationship. Thus, Sampati should not lament for his broken body. He should live there patiently, thinking of Rama and waiting for his chance to render him some service. Sampati concluded, "That was 8,000 years ago, and I have survived here all this time, being brought food by my son. Now at last I have performed my service to Rama." Even as Sampati spoke, a beautiful pair of wings sprouted from his body. He rose at once into the air and called down to the monkeys, "O Vanaras, Chandramarichi told me you would succeed in your mission. Indeed, he said that the servants of Rama could easily cross the terrible ocean of birth and death. What then of this small sea? Take heart, and go to the south. Cross the ocean, and you will find Lanka, where Sita is held. Farewell." The bird disappeared into the sky, leaving the monkeys to continue their search. They were overjoyed. Abandoning all thoughts of fasting till death, they leapt into the air, raced down the beach, and roared with glee. Then they saw the billowing waves. How could they possibly cross the ocean? They did not possess the power of flight. The vast sea stretched into the distance, looking as insurmountable as the sky. Angada asked, "Which one among us can leap across this sea? Who shall become the deliverer of the monkeys today? If any among you can jump across the ocean and reach Lanka, speak out and remove our fears." The monkeys all remained silent, gazing with unblinking eyes at the roaring sea. Angada spoke again, trying to inspire them with confidence. "I have no doubt any one of you is capable of this feat. As far as I'm concerned, I can certainly leap 800 miles, but I do not know if I shall be able to return safely." Angada looked around at the party. Among them was Jambavan, a great leader of the bears, who replied, "It is not right that you, our Prince Regent, should go on this expedition. Although you could leap 1,000 or even 10,000 miles if you wished, one of us should go instead." Jambavan said that he himself could only cover 700 miles, having grown old. Each of the monkeys then stated how far he could leap. Some said 100, some said 200, some said 500 miles, but none said that they could leap the full distance and return again. Jambavan then spoke to Hanuman, who was sitting silently. "O valiant monkey, you have not told us of your strength. I know you to be possessed of tremendous ability." Jambavan described Hanuman's birth and power. The monkey was begotten by Vayu, and soon after his birth he had leapt into the sky for thousands of miles, wanting to catch the sun. At that time he had been struck down by Indra. Hanuman's father, the wind god, became aggrieved at seeing his son killed and had ceased to blow. All created beings then began to suffocate due to the stoppage of air in the universe. The gods sought to appease Vayu by bringing Hanuman back to life. They had also blessed the monkey with many wonderful powers. On the strength of the gods' blessings, Hanuman had become fearless, even as a young child. He had played in the hermitages of the rishis, mischievously throwing about their paraphernalia and stopping their sacrifices. To check him, the rishis had uttered an imprecation. "You will forget your great power. Only when you hear your powers described by another will you again remember them." Jambavan concluded his narration about Hanuman. There was no doubt that he could leap to Lanka. Why then was he sitting there indifferently? Could he not see the monkeys plunged in despair? Hanuman stood up. Jambavan's speech had ended the rishi's curse. He remembered his great prowess and felt encouraged by Jambavan. With a great roar, he said, "I shall jump across this mighty ocean." He then expanded his body to 50 times his normal height. Stretching his arms and yawning, he spoke in a voice that resounded like thunder. "I claim my descent from the mighty Vayu, who circulates through all of space and easily smashes down mountain peaks. I could leap to the outer limits of the universe. I am quite able to overtake the blazing sun as it moves from the east across the western mountain. Today I shall leap from Mount Mahendra, scattering the clouds, shaking the mountains, and drying up the sea. I will swiftly and easily reach Lanka in one great bound. Have no fear." Hanuman roared again and again, filled with filling the monkeys with joy. Jambamam replied, "Our grief is now dispelled. We are depending on you, O gallant monkey. We shall stand on one foot in yogic meditation here upon the seashore, praying for your success until you return." Hanuman reassured the monkeys further. He told them what he should do. He should annihilate the entire Rakshasa horde, and and rescue Sita? Or should he single-handedly kill Ravana, uproot Lanka, and carry it, along with Sita, back to Rama? Angada asked him first to locate Sita, and then report back, for that was Sugriva's order. In consultation with Rama and Sugriva, they could then decide on their next course of action. Hanuman bowed to that instruction, and bounded to Mount Mahendra a few miles away. Its peak piercing the clouds, he ranged up the side of the mountain and stood at its summit. As soon as he stood there, roaring, gods and siddhas assembled in the sky above him, uttering benedictory hymns. They dropped celestial flowers and beat their drums. The huge monkey folded his arms to the east and offered respects to Vayu, his father. He concentrated his mind and gazed south toward Lanka. Hanuman felt honored to have such an opportunity to render Rama a service. From his first meeting with the prince, he knew Rama to be his eternal master. He felt Rama's ring bound in his cloth. Sita would be overjoyed to receive that token and know that Rama would soon arrive to rescue her. With a sense of elation, Hanuman contemplated approaching Rama with news of Sita. He squatted down and prepared to jump. With a great cry of victory to Rama, Hanuman sprang upwards with tremendous force, pressing the mountain deep into the earth. Animals rushed down the mountainside in all directions. The rishis engaged in meditation in the mountain forests were startled and rose into the air. Great serpents moving about on the side of the mountain became furious and bit the rocks, which then glowed red from the serpent's virulent poison. All the trees shook and shed their blossoms, and the whole mountain appeared covered with flowers. Large fissures appeared. Large fissures appeared in the mountain, and different colored streams issued out. As Hanuman leapt upwards, Mount Mahendra presented a beautiful sight, and the monkeys gazed up in wonder and awe. Then they went down onto the beach to begin their wait for Hanuman's return. That's end chapter 12 of Valmiki's Ramayana.